Hey y'all, today we're going to be making some homemade soft pretzels. So to start out with, we need to get our yeast activated. So to your mixing bowl, go ahead and add 1.5 cups of warm water, and this is straight out of my faucet, nothing special. Then you're going to add to that 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, not the instant kind. And then or if you don't have, like a tablespoon, like can't scoop it out. If you got the little packages, 1 package is fine. And then you're going to also add a tablespoon of sugar. Mix that up really good. And then we're going to cover this with a little towel. And you see mine is sitting on a towel because my countertops are cold. So if you have cold countertops, put a little barrier there if you have one. Then cover it up and let it sit for about 10 minutes. We want it to get nice and foamy, and that way we know that our yeast is working, okay? If yours does not foam up, your yeast is not good and you're going to have to start over. So once our yeast is nice and foamy, we're going to go ahead and add in 3 tablespoons of oil. Now, I'm using olive oil. You can use whatever kind of oil you have. I have also used canola and vegetable oil in this recipe, so any of it will work. Whatever you have. Don't go out and buy anything special. So add your oil. Then we're going to add 4 cups of all-purpose flour, and the recipe calls for 4.5 cups, but I don't want mine to be overly dense, so I start out with 4 cups, and then the other half cup I sit to the side and add it in as I need it while it's mixing, okay? Then we're going to add in a tablespoon of salt, and I'll always add that right on top of my flour, and then just kind of mix it into my flour before I mix it into the yeast mixture. So at this point, if you have a stand mixer with a dough hook, put your dough hook on, let it start mixing. We're going to let this mix and knead for about, I think I let mine go for about 5 or 6 minutes. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer or you don't have a dough hook, then you can do this by hand, certainly, but you're going to need to knead it. Once everything is mixed, you're going to need to knead it, like keep mixing it until it forms the consistency that we want. Now, we want it to be sticky, but not stick to us, so just add that extra, see how it's not sticking to my hand? We want to just, like I said, we had that extra half cup of flour. So just add that in as you need it. You may not need it. You may not, need a little bit. You may need all of it. Just, you just want it to get to this consistency. Okay. So once we get our dough done, we're going to go ahead and spray a bowl and, get a pretty decent sized bowl. And we're going to put our little dough ball right down in there. And then we're going to cover it. We're going to spray it with a little more oil, cooking spray, y'all. Or oil. If you don't have cooking spray, you can definitely brush this with some oil. But you want to do that to the top so it doesn't stick to your towel. Cover it up, let it sit for an hour, okay? After an hour, this is what it's going to look like. It should have at least doubled in size, okay? And it's nice and jiggly, as you can see, but you can see as I touched it, see how it's deflating? That's okay. We want it to do that. We're trying to get that air back out of there, okay? So once our dough is good to go, we're going to go ahead, actually, at this point, and preheat your oven to 450. Don't forget to do that. Take out your handy-dandy little silicone mat if you have these dreadful tile countertops like I have. And, of course, I will link this down below for y'all. And just dump your dough out on there. And then we're going to cut this into 8 pieces. This recipe makes 8 pretzels. Now, if you want your pretzels bigger, cut bigger chunks of dough. If you want your pretzels smaller, then you can cut smaller pieces. You may just have to adjust like your baking time. But this, what I'm giving you, makes 8 pretzels, okay? So we're going to cut it in half, then we're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to cut it in half again until we get 8 little balls of dough, okay? So you can see they're pretty good little chunks of dough, and they don't have to be perfect. Try to get them, pretty even. That's why instead of just trying to hack 8 pieces off, I cut it in half and then cut it in half and then cut it in half. So I can try to kind of keep them even, and that way, like when we're baking them and stuff, they bake pretty even. Does that make sense? You don't want some that are really small and some that are really big. So once you get your 8 little dough balls cut, We're going to go ahead and start rolling these out into little ropes, like long little ropes. Now, my mat is about 26 inches long, I believe. And you want to roll these out to about 24 inches because we need plenty of room when we start to twist these into pretzels. I cannot talk, y'all. We need plenty of rope, plenty of length. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. To be able to twist these pretzels and not have them just be a big clump of dough. Does that make sense? So I am not a professional pretzel roller. Let me go ahead and put that disclaimer out right now. Mine are not perfect. Feel free to perfect it if you would like to. You're going to put these in sort of a U shape, and then you're going to twist the ends, twist them again, and then fold them down and just kind of press them onto themselves down there at the bottom. And that's all there is to it. See, it's not perfect. Some pieces are bigger than others, and you're going to really see as I start rolling them all out, they do not all look the same. But you know what? That's okay, y'all. They don't have to be perfect. They're still going to taste good. So we are making half of these into like regular pretzels, just a regular old soft pretzel. And then we're also going to make 4 of these into cinnamon sugar pretzels because we wanted to try those too. And the cheese sauce that I made when I made the Arby's copycat video, I'll link it down below for y'all if you're looking for some good cheese sauce. That cheese sauce is really good with these pretzels too. So, but make them how you want to. Now look, that one looked really bad. That one looked really, really terrible. So once you get your pretzels made up, you're going to get a pot of hot water. Add 2/3 of a cup of baking soda. Now, somehow I didn't turn my camera on when I was doing that. But 2/3 of a cup of baking soda, mix it in real good. Then you bring it to a boil, drop your pretzels in 1 or 2 at a time, and I flip mine halfway, so 15 seconds on one side, 15 seconds on the other side. That is all you need. You do not need any more than 30 seconds for these, so time it and don't walk away from it because you don't want your pretzels to taste like baking soda. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and just do that until all of your pretzels are nice and boiled in your water. But you see how much puffier and bigger they got? So once we've done all of our pretzels, we're going to go ahead and brush them with an egg wash. And like I said, half of mine are salt and half of mine are going to be cinnamon and sugar. So for your salt ones, I mean, if you have the big pieces or the salt flakes, that would be so pretty, but I didn't have those. So I just took my regular old salt and just sprinkled them right on the top. So it's again one of those situations where if you have the fancy stuff, use it. But if you don't, you can still make this recipe and make it taste good. It still tasted good because it was still a salty pretzel. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't the big, huge, flakes of salt. So you're going to bake those for about 10 or 15 minutes, depending on your oven. Just watch them. When they get nice and golden brown, they'll be ready to go. Now, after you pull your cinnamon sugar ones out of the oven, now your salt ones, those are good to go. For your cinnamon and sugar ones, when you pull them out of the oven, go ahead and brush those with a little bit of melted butter, and that way our cinnamon and sugar will stick. Do this while your pretzels are still warm, of course. Make sure your pretzels are still warm when you do this so everything sticks good. But then you're just going to sprinkle on your cinnamon and sugar, and that's it, y'all. Like, that is all there is to it. And you can use a little more or a little less, however you want your pretzels to be will be just fine. These are fantastic. You can make these ahead and freeze them, and then when you get ready to eat them, just pull them out, like pop them in the microwave or pop them in the oven for a couple minutes, pop them in the air fryer, the air fryer, or however you want to do it. It'll be perfect. So, but like I said, these are super, super easy, and you can see the salt that we sprinkled right on the top. But of course, it's not as pretty as if we would have had the really big pieces of salt or the really pretty little salt flakes. But that's all there is to it. If you're looking for a good pretzel recipe, definitely give this one a try because these taste just like the pretzels that you buy at the store. They are fantastic. They're super soft. I wish I would have gotten a video like pulling them apart so y'all could see how soft and fluffy the inside is, but I was hungry and I ate it too quick. But that is it for me today, y'all. I will pop y'all another video over here and I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.